the team, Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. As you can see, we're already in Hawaii. We are ready. This weekend is the kickoff for regionals. It's big, exciting. I mean, what? There's like 2,000 masters. Do we know how many masters there are? No. Yes.
At
no?
least.
Yeah,
At least 2,000.
I can double check for you. I think there's like 1,600.
No way. There's
No,
more
there's more
than
than that.
There's way more than that, but
I think it was like 2,000 total, but I could be wrong.
I hope it's 2,000 people masters. We get to play outside. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping we play outside in our cars.
They didn't book a big enough venue.
They just like, okay, we're adding more tables, and all of a sudden we're outside of playing. Like that's our solution. Anyways, so this weekend is Pittsburgh. Got these lovely gentlemen to join me. Did you ever buy Josh's Pizza?
No, I'm gonna buy that this weekend. Actually, last time that your viewers saw us, I went down in flames, and I owe Josh Fine a pizza, and that was months ago, and I still have not done that. And what's crazy is we've eaten pizza together like multiple times, and I just keep forgetting to buy it. Like literally, we were eating at a pizza restaurant, and I was like, "Don't pay for it." I was like, "Oh, you should let me pay for that." Why not? So this weekend, I'm buying him a pizza, whether he likes it or not.
Josh doesn't know. Unless it's Olive Garden pizza.
Perfect.
You gotta win worlds for that.
Yeah. Okay, but you might be thinking, why are they on here? First of all, they're both going to Pittsburgh, and both of them have been playing a ton of cups, a ton of challenges, right? And I think it's safe to say. Yeah, trying to.
I think I'm up to like 7 or 8 cups I've played in so far.
Holy cow, I played in 3.
And you've won them all.
No, I haven't. I wish. That'd be cool. How about you, Jeff? How many cups have you been to?
I honestly don't know. Like when you scrub out of a cup, you just like forget that you went. You know, it's just you just forget that was a thing. So I know for a fact that I went to 2 because I have a couple finishes. So, but other than that, I couldn't tell you. Probably 5, maybe 6, somewhere in there.
Gotcha. And I've been to 6, 7 challenges, I think. Yeah, I've been to 7 challenges so far. So, and I think y'all have also been to challenges, yeah?
I think like 4 challenges for me. Our locals is super small though, so it's like our challenges are like 3-4 rounds, and so like it is what it is. Like I've got points at most of them, but I was just the guy who didn't lose like the first round or whatever. We
take those free local points though, right? For sure. But yeah, so today we're talking about Pittsburgh. Obviously, these guys have some insight. If you didn't know, Josh also he won a cup. Jeff, what's your best placement? Is it do we cut an event yet or no?
I think top 4 this
go.
year. This season is a top 4.
So we'll take it. So what we're gonna do, because they don't have no idea what we're doing, is we're gonna talk about different decks that you could play. Literally, we're gonna go to Limitless, and we're gonna talk about we're literally gonna go from like top 1 to 9. We'll cut 1 out because 2 of them are Lost Box. No, one's Lost Box, one's Lost Box with Guillotine. So
when you get down to 8 or 9, I don't have a lot to say. Don't play those.
No. Well, actually, there's 10 decks that are on this list, and I think every single one of these decks are different. 100%.
Okay.
I know it's weird to think about, but that if you start thinking about it, there is 10 different decks. First on the list is Guillotine Lost No Box. It has 1,036 plays so far out of 133 tournaments. That's insane. It's 14% of the meta. Let's just go first. I mean, is this going to be the most played deck at Pittsburgh?
Most played deck. Giratina specifically, not just Lost variants?
Correct, yeah. Giratina Lost No Box. Because right now it's the most played deck on Limitless.
So tough to say. I think it's going to be close. I think it could be for sure. Yeah, it's going to be huge.
Unless something, strange changes, I could see it being in the top. We saw at EUIC going into the event that Lost Box Tina was poised to do really well in the event, and then it just didn't really do well. I mean, a couple people made day 2 with it, but outside of that, it didn't really have any impact. I think the biggest thing for me with the deck is it just has its moments. I mean, you saw what happened to Pram in his top 8 or his top 4 match, and the deck kind of can just lose some steam if it doesn't get started. But I think it's probably Lost Zone variants are probably one of the harder decks to pilot, and I think
But
with
you think it's going to be the most played though? That's what he was asking.
I don't think it's going to be the most played. I think that one of the other top 10 decks will probably be the most played. I think that it is it is difficult for people to pilot correctly, especially for 15 rounds. I mean, it takes a mental toll.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing to point out because like you can play Guillotine and Lost Zone Box online a lot easier than you can than in person because you can see your cards and what you prize and all that kind of stuff. You can map out your stuff pretty easy. Whereas like I feel like majority of people can't do that as well in real life compared to online. And I think that's what people are going to struggle with if they've never played in a tournament like this, especially like Josh you said, like playing 15 rounds, like your brain's going to be fried. And it's cool that you point that out too, Josh, because when you talk about Guillotine and Lost on Box, I don't think it was hyped going into any IC, and that's where we saw it like do like somewhat well that nobody has thought about. And like you said, when people are anticipating it, that's when it doesn't do as well. Because you look at Worlds, I mean, technically it was like it wasn't the top decks. Mew, Lugia, Gardevoir, Lost Box were the top decks, not even Giratina, and it still got 2 of the top 8. So
Yeah, so
there were
the skill level for that deck is very high, and so unfortunately what happened, I mean, I guess I say unfortunately, but like what happens is a lot of newer players or less experienced players see the placements. They go, I got top 4, I got top 8, I got top whatever, and so I'm gonna play that, and my favorite player, plays this, and so they pick it up. And so like I can tell you just from the cups I've playing a lot of these newer or less experienced players, Giratina on paper is probably the best deck in the format. I mean, it has everything. It can do anything. But like they don't know necessarily how to maximize the draws or the sequencing properly to make sure they don't get those Tina hands or they don't dead draw. And so like a lot of times, I'll be completely back against the wall and playing against a Giratina, and then the guy goes, "Oh, I lose," and he just scoops it up because he like has lost zoned 5 energy or his 3 gates or his last 2 gates are prized and he threw one away. So there's a lot of micro decisions that, it's a great deck, but like it takes a great pilot to do well with the deck. So as far as most played, I could see it being the most played deck, but as far as going deep into the tournament, it depends on who plays it. It depends on what group plays it or doesn't play it.
true.
I mean, you see like Grant Manley's group. I mean, they played Mew at Worlds, but they have been notorious to play Lost Box, and they really haven't touched Tina Lost Box. Some of the people that are playing Tina Lost Box are some of the bigger names in the game that have been playing for years. So NAIC, you had Sable House, um, playing it and did well with it. Pram did well with it at Worlds. So like it takes a lot of like Jay said, there are a lot of decisions that might seem trivial, but they really affect you in the long run. I was at a cup and uh, like the guy had 2 prizes left. He couldn't finish it off because he had just burned out through his resources. And so like he played a Colress, drew the last 5 cards of his deck, and he goes, "Nope, I don't got it." And I'm like,
It's not there. I thought it might have.
"Nope,
Yeah,
it's not there."
yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I mean I knew it wasn't there. I was tracking it with you, but and I think that's something that going into a regional, a lot of newer players aren't really experienced with mapping the game out,
I
figuring
mean,
out.
I've played the game for 10 years, and I'm not playing Giratina because I don't want to make those decisions or those mistakes.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
like
saying? Like that's all I can tell you.
yeah, mapping out the game can be a real challenge. Not only mapping out your way to victory, but also mapping out your opponent's way to victory and trying to slow them down. But yeah, I mean, on paper, Lost Zone Tina has everything, but it just loses steam, and I don't think it'll be probably one of the most played. it'll probably be one of the top 4
Mm.
as far as meta share goes.
Gotcha. And the reason I brought up the most played thing is, Limitless you see as the number one deck, and then everybody's answer is like, oh, we'll just play, Judge. Just play Judge. Judge Iona counters it. So, are we going to see as many Judge Ionas still, even though it might not be the best played deck? That's the question. But Josh, do you know if Pram played with Sable House? Like, do they test together or no?
I don't know if they test together. I know that for NAIC, Pram didn't play Lost Tina. So I don't know what his decision making was going into Worlds to play Lost Tina. It's probably something that he was comfortable with because he had played with it before. But a lot
Yeah,
of
I have no idea. I mean, he was one of the
yeah,
first ones to play it at Peoria, right?
yeah.
Which obviously
Mhm.
the deck's very different now, or the meta around it's definitely different. But yeah,
And a lot of his card decisions, just like Peoria, were very deliberate. Like running the one of Snorlax. I mean, Lost Box decks have to swing twice with a crayon to get that knockout. Like, it's really good into the mirror. And so him deciding to include that card, I think is correct. And a lot of players aren't playing it. They're going for more like consistency based. So it is it'll be interesting to see what happens with Peoria or with Pittsburgh. I know there are a lot of rumblings about the new cards with Obsidian's Flames, but really I think it's not a impactful set. So it'll be interesting to see how well Tina can hold its own. So.
All right. And that kind of leads to the next question. When you look at the rankings, number 2 is actually Charizard with 726. I guess the big question is Charizard, is it going to flop or is it actually going to be good?
enough people are going to play Charizard that you're gonna see it one or two, like maybe a top 16, maybe a couple in top 30, maybe one in top 32, maybe like 5 in top 128 kind of thing, and depending on who those players are, like you see like a Jose Morero get top 16 with it, everyone goes, oh, Charizard's a real deck, but like so many people are going to go 0-3 drop with Charizard. Like that's the thing. Like the deck is good. The list is not refined. The lists that are out there, there's a lot of money on the line this year, and I know a lot of top players have already said they're not going to be posting lists as frequently and as early and etc. Maybe there's some secret Charizard list that is just completely busted. But like as of right now, to my knowledge, I do not think that it is the play. Like now, like I said, just because of the number of people that are going to play it, you're going to see some do well, but like you're going to see a lot more do poorly.
Yeah, I have I've only encountered a few at the local level, but I'm actually quite shocked to see Charizard do this well because I personally don't think it's that great of a deck. I think it relies a lot on its abilities, and there are a lot of paths out there currently.
I'm going to say something real quick, Josh. It is actually not doing that well online.
Oh,
It's only got a four.
okay.
It's only. I know it's like very like small numbers, but it only has a 47 win rate compared to Giratina Lawson with a 52%. So
Okay.
yeah,
I think Henry Brand said it on a Mellow Magic Cards pod. He said good card doesn't equal good deck or something like that, right? He said like you look at Charizard and the numbers on it, it's clearly a great card, clearly. But like that doesn't necessarily mean that Charizard the deck is a great deck. And so I think that's where we're at. Now, like I said, somebody might have a great Charizard deck and I just look stupid when it's 6 of the top 8. But like as of right now, like I think it's a good card and the deck's like okay.
6 of the top 8.
Yeah.
But Josh, I cut you off. What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
I think going into the event, just because it's like the new shiny thing, a lot of players will be tempted to play it. I would be shocked if Jose Morero isn't playing Charizard because that's his favorite. But I don't think the list has been refined. I think Charizard gets better when 151 comes out, so we might see an uptick in Peoria. I just don't think that I think people respected Charizard too much, so they hated it out of the format already. They're like, I don't want to play against this, so I'm gonna, run these cards to ensure that Charizard players have a bad time, right? One name that keeps like popping up in my head that like he is so big on the Charizard train is Cash Vendor Man, um, player I believe out of like the Mesa area. So the Middle East and South America rating zone, and he's been playing a lot of it in online tournaments. That's like been his thing. But I don't think that with the current the current decks that we are see that are already refined, I don't think Charizard will do very well at the event. Maybe a couple, day twos, top 16,
Mhm.
but I don't think that it's going to win the event. Could be wrong. Like Jay said, there might be a secret list out there that's like going to prove us all wrong. But until we get to the event, it's kind of hard to say.
I'm like
Gotcha.
disappearing into this ocean, y'all.
Into the Hawaii waves. I will say, I kind of agree with y'all that it's the new shiny thing. People are going to play at numbers. More people equals automatically more people are going to make day two with it. They're just going to beat each
Yep.
other's out. With probably the best player being Jose. Playing it.
What if he just plays Arceus V-Star Charizard VMAX?
I mean, he already
just
has.
shows everybody up. I know, that's what I'm saying.
It-
What if he plays it in Pittsburgh?
He just plays it again.
He's like, no, this is the better. Like,
This
just
is the
play it
better.
this way.
This is the better
Yeah.
Charizard.
No, but I mean, like, at some of these cups we've seen, there's like this Pokedad who's like, I mean, he's like a solid player, but like he's a Pokedad, and by every means of the word. And the other day at this cup, he's like 4-0, and I'm looking over, he's playing Charizard, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm doing pretty good today, and I'm like, it's like that's gonna happen to somebody. This is my first tournament, and they're 7-0-1. Like going into the last round, like that's gonna happen to somebody.
I will say the only cup I was at that there was Charizards. They all started at 4-0, and then they all ended like at 4-2 or 4-3 or whatever it was. Like
Every single has got 90 points with it.
Holy cow! Look at there.
Yep, he's got a second and a fourth with Charizard.
And Garrett has a first. He just picked it up out of nowhere. He's like, I'm still playing Charizard.
Yeah, well, Garrett's, I'm finding out, the best player in the whole game, so I don't know. Like that's his whole thing. He just picks up a bad deck and wins like 3 cups, and like
the secret, there's like 10 people at his cup or something like that.
And that's my favorite thing. Side note, I don't want to get too far off, but anytime somebody posts their champion mat, the first question, 10 people, how many players was it? How many players was it? How many players was it? It does not matter if I beat 6 people or 60. I got 50 points. That's what you need to know.
Yeah,
I can't stand that.
Going off of that, my favorite, someone posted like a picture our round 1 this weekend at a cup, and it was all of the Shamanskys and Sean Foisey, and someone goes, if I saw that, I would have just left the cup. And I'm like, I was tempted. I played in 2 cups this past weekend where they all showed up and they all were doing things, and I'm like,
Diane was playing Charizard.
The Midwest region is just so stacked with players, and it's just like you have to like pinpoint which cup they're going to that weekend so you avoid them. Like, oh, they're going to be in Michigan this weekend, so I'm going to go to like Nebraska.
Nebraska, bros.
Oh yeah.
Stop.
That's like cup culture.
Jeez. Anyway, so we talk about Charizard. The next on the list is Gardevoir, sitting at 9% with 681. We saw Tord get second, unfortunately, right? He lost in the finals. The question is, with Charizard coming in hot right now, and knowing that it probably might have a bad matchup, just because maybe Dark beats it. I don't know how the matchup goes. Are you scared of the Charizards or no?
I'll let Jay answer this one because we tested this last night.
Without just posting the recipe right here on the channel.
Okay.
That match is harder than I thought for the Gardevoir player. I thought that the match was easier. Oh, you just play 2 reversal and you play this. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's definitely harder because, like, turn 2, that Charizard deck just needs a rare candy and a Charizard in their hand, and they're basically set up. like for the rest of the game. And so that match is a little more volatile than I gave it credit for originally. However, especially in a best of 3, especially if you're a good player, I think it's close to 50-50. Close. If anything, Charizard's slightly favored. Because it is easy, especially to get the Pidgeots going, to just boss the Guardy EX every turn. So that gets rough. But if you can shut that down somehow, maybe they prize a Pidgey, you knock out the Pidgey on turn 2, that kind of thing. I mean, things can happen. But yeah, so that match is interesting. Overall, I think Guardy is still the best deck in format. It has all the tools to beat everything. There's nothing that auto wins against it. There are rough matches. Of course, you don't want to play against Lost Box and Charizard all day, but it can beat those decks. It has the tools to beat anything. It has lines of play around everything. There's always kind of a way out, an emergency exit plan. So I'm really high on Guardy. I think it's super good. I think I think it rewards good play. I think it, making good plays and things like that. I think the deck can reward you quite well. So,
Gotcha.
like it a lot.
Anything to add, Josh?
Yeah. I don't like the deck. He's right. It has lanes. It has outs. Every time that I have picked up that deck, I will, do my first deck search. Oh, I've got 2 Ralts prized. Oh, I've got 2 Curlia. What will I do?
You rare candy or you Mirage Step, whichever one.
I think it's a good deck, and the pilot needs to be an exceptional player to play the deck. It might get hated out with all the Charizard and Lost Box, so I don't know if it'll necessarily do as well as it did at Worlds.
You're playing Guardy in any regional, especially, any tournament, but especially a regional, it's going to be a long day. A lot of decisions, a lot of thinking, long rounds. This is not a deck you want to pick up if you're not familiar with it, or if you're maybe even a super new player. It's not a deck you want to pick up. It's a deck that you really want to spend some time with. But like I said, I think that it can reward you if you do put the time in.
Mm-hmm. And it kind of like what you said, especially with the Charizard matchup. And I keep talking about the Charizard matchup because we talked about how hype it's going to be. Round 1, 50% of that field could be Charizard, and you're playing Guardy. And and I guess the scary thing for Charizard, or for Guardy for Charizard, is that man's got 330 HP. He's swinging turn 2, knocking you out. It's going to be a minute for you doing 330 damage to that big boy. So
yeah, 6 Psychic on a reversal or 9 Energy on a Zacian.
Yeah, so
easy feat, especially when you're running only 10 Psychic. It's not an easy feat. I think the line in that matchup might almost just be to go for the other 2 prizers. Get the Pidgeots, get the Arceus. Maybe just ignore the Charizard. Yes, they can boss you up, but if you're knocking out their means to boss you up, I think that's probably the way to go. So,
well,
I don't know. It's a weird prize map for sure.
So from a deck that needs so much to take a knockout on Charizard, we're talking about Chien-Pao of Excalibur. It's got 631. It's number 4 right now. It's got probably the worst win percentage that we're talking about. It's got 46%, unfortunately. But when Charizard Arceus was coming out, people were hyping up Chien-Pao. They were just, it just knocks out. It just knocks it out. What are you talking about? You just knock it out, and that's it. You just win. And I was one of those believers, but it's a little hard to be a believer, and But the question is Chien-Pao is it actually good? You just take knockouts, right? It's easy. You just RC is very sure. Just take a knockout. Charizard, you just take a knockout, right? Whatever, right? They're playing Lost Box, yeah. Do the cross fusion, or I don't know, the heck cross switcher play, whatever.
Yeah.
You just have it in your hands, and then they.
Yeah, you just have it.
Yeah, then they just judge an Ione every turn, and then you just lose. Whatever.
Yeah.
But is what we see online, is Chien-Pao, is it as bad as it seems online as we'll see in real life? That's the real question I want to ask.
Well, so when you're dealing with these numbers, the amount of data we have, maybe you can tell me this because you're looking at the numbers and I'm not, but I feel like the difference between 47 and 50 is not that many games, and I feel the difference between 50 and 53 is not that many games. So like you say, well, is it this bad or is it this good? It's near 50%, right?
It has an extra 130 losses.
Okay.
So it has
So like
13, 14 wins and 14, 44 losses.
yeah, I mean that's a pretty small sample size considering we're talking about overall numbers, right? Because like 130 of those like losses, right? I mean, you're talking disconnections, you're talking concessions on turn one, you're talking people. This is their first Pokemon game. They got the free deck on live.
Yeah.
You know, I'm talking about all of that goes into account. So like, I would say that it's near 50-50. So like, or near 50%. That's probably more accurate, is my guess. And so I'm super high on Chien-Pao too. I think it is like 1A to Guardy's 1. I think Chien-Pao is super good. I think it's super underrated. The problem with Chien-Pao is that it dead draws sometimes. Sometimes you just open a 7 card hand and you lose. You know, and that's it. Like it just, which every deck can dead draw, but I think it's so combo heavy. Especially now we have the Pidgeot, which we might have been burying the lead on the Charizard, by the way. Pidgeot is like really what makes that deck insane. But yeah, I mean, you got the Pidgeot, you got the Barrel, you got, Excalibur doing things, and then you just Shivery Chill Superior for 360, right? Oh, I'll just Chill Superior 360, Chill Superior 360. Like, it has everything to beat anything. Oh, well, I'm playing against Lost Box, okay, I'm gonna double Greninja you. But, like, yes, it's sometimes you don't have all that, and so I think that's what happens. I mean, if you draw well, for 15 rounds, you're going to top 8. Like that, and you play correctly. But how many of those 15 rounds are you gonna double dead draw? you know, so that's the thing. I can't. I don't know the answer to that, but it's a good deck if you don't brick.
So your answer is yes, you think it's better than what is shown online.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do as well. I think it is super underrated. Looking at the lists that are, circulating online, I don't think any one person has got it right yet. We're starting to see people splash Palkia into it, people putting Pidgeot, no Pidgeot, the Barrel. Like, there's just so many lists going around. I don't think anyone has found the perfect 60 to, like, pin it down yet. I think that it'll do well at Pittsburgh because it has answers to everything. It the only thing that it really loses to is Path Judge, but it has outs, right? It's got 3-4 stadium outs, lost vacuum or two. I got a top 8 at a cup with it this past weekend. I think it's really good. It is very reminiscent of Keldeo Blastoise, like Deluge.
Like the deck
I
feels good to play as long as you don't
Yeah.
say pass, pass. You know what I mean? As long as you're not doing that, then it feels really good. Like I don't understand the hate for it. People saying it's like, genuinely not a good deck and all that. And I'm like, it is. Like you can just Shivery Chill Superior for 360. Like that's a thing that happens a lot of the time. So yeah, I don't know. It's good. You just hope you draw decently.
Mm-hmm. Did you want to add anything else, Josh, or no?
Um, it'll be interesting to see which lists do well when it comes to Chien-Pao, because there are people running Pokestop, there are people running Lost City, there are people running Cross Switchers, there are people not running Cross Switchers.
Skater Park.
Skater Park, like there are just so many options for the deck that I think that it might be the dark horse here because it just, you know, can do so much. Like against Lost Box, it's got Greninja. You know, people might need to up their Manaphy counts because there are a lot of decks right now that are very heavily targeting the bench,
I'm
and
playing 4 in my deck.
and a lot of decks are super weak to having their bench be messed with. Like 70 HP on the bench isn't that difficult to hit. So I think that it has a lot of options because there is just so much utility that you can do with the deck. It's got the barrel to get you out of the path, Pidgeot to let you find any card a turn. It on paper the deck just seems silly, right? Because it
Mhm.
just has they always have it, right? They either you know draw pass for 7 turns or they have it. Like there is no in between with the deck. Like
You're gonna finish. That's another good point. I mean, that's
Sure.
you're not gonna tie with the deck. So
And
yeah,
to your point, you either scooping real quick or you're just pooping. You just
yeah,
scooping or pooping.
stupid or
and
pooping. That's it.
If you're doing it,
and,
you're.
and I think in a best of 3 environment it's a really strong best of 3 deck because it just has if you have one bad game, you're like, okay, yep, we took 3 minutes for that game. I will take 10 minutes to win this next one, and then another 10 to win the third. Like it,
You get at
I'm
least
going to,
2 tries to not break.
yeah, like I'm going to play out all of the games. Like, uh, it's probably one of my number one choices heading into Pittsburgh because I enjoy playing the game of Pokemon. I don't enjoy playing a best of 1 in a best of 3 setting. When a player tries to draw the match out for 50 minutes, like, and that's
Or
another thing I think.
75.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that there are going to be a lot of people playing Gardevoir and Lost Zone, and I think there are going to be a lot of judge calls this weekend on pace of play, um, because there's so much at stake now, right? There's so much more money on the line. I think that there are a lot of people that are tired of, you know, playing one game in 50 minutes. Like it, it doesn't take
Play
you
fast, everybody. Play fast.
Yeah, it doesn't
Mhm.
take you 5 minutes to decide what you're gonna get off your battle VIP pass. Like,
Maybe two Greninjas. Maybe two Greninjas. So.
gotta
Uh,
watch out for that Greninja and Gardevoir. They
I
might
will.
get you.
I will say something interesting. You're talking about with Chimpao is like it's the first deck that we talked about where like if you're losing, you're gonna know real quick to scoop. Whereas like
Yeah,
Guillotine Lasso Box, even Charizard Arceus, you can come back late game.
yeah.
Gardevoir, it's the
Guardy is
first.
always behind.
Yeah, like it's the first one.
Yeah.
You're like, yep, let's go to
Nope,
game
didn't get
two.
it.
And the
Yeah.
other ones like you mentioned, time is like you're like, okay, I'm like 3 prizes down with Guardy. Do I, what
Yeah.
we doing here?
You're like watching the watch.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that
So
happened to me in
oh,
top 8. I saw, I was like, oh, we have 50 minutes. Game 1 didn't go so well, and I was like, okay, yep, we're gonna do 6 minutes in. We're gonna go to game 2. Like,
Yeah, no, that's how it goes.
but speaking of deck that does go to time all the time is Lost Zone Box.
Hmm.
Now we talked about Giratina. Lost Zone Box is at 5th. There's like a billion different variations, and I don't really care about it too much. Is there anything you want to add to Lost Zone Box? It's not a deck I care about. I think we kind of like hit the head. Like there's gonna be a lot of new people who just like go to time because they're sitting there.
Yes.
They're just looking at their comfy and they're like,
They're doing this like
my favorite thing I see them do now is people take the cards and they'll bend it while they're picking it. I've seen like all the top players do it too. They'll like bend their card while they're thinking like, like what are
let me
you
just
looking
mark
at?
this up real quick.
What are you doing with your card? Why are you thinking that hard? They all do
Yeah.
it now. It's interesting. But is there anything you want to add? Like I know it's different. I know it's a different deck. I don't care about
But
talking about
not,
Lost
yeah.
Box.
Yeah. I think that you lose less quickly when you're having a bad game because you don't put a 2 prizer on the board a lot of time. I mean, I know you play the Dragonite or whatever, but like, yeah, I don't know. I was of the opinion, I'm like, well, Lost Box is just better than Giratina because they're all 1 prizers, right? Like, you just lose quicker with Giratina. Like, that was like how I was thinking. And then, like, Lord and Savior Pramawat did what he did. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's a real deck. But, like, I was kind of like shocked that Giratina has become the better version now because for so long it was not. So I don't know. I'm not playing Lost Box. Like it's like on my list of like, yeah, hopefully you don't ever have to play this until after it rotates, kind of thing. Like I hope this is never like my top choice because I hate those decisions. Turn 1, flower selecting. Oh, great. Do I want to lose because I don't have this, or do I want to lose because I don't have this? So I don't have too much to add, honestly. I think good luck if you're playing that deck. I don't know. Like, hopefully you're better than me, because I can't stand it.
Now, once again, we're not saying the deck is bad. It's obviously good.
No.
It's done well.
Yeah, it's super good. Yeah.
Kyogre just
Yeah.
bodies on
Yeah.
people.
Oh,
Turn
yeah,
one
it's great.
Dragonite just like destroys people. But I can speak probably for both of them too. I don't think they like this deck at all. But I could be wrong. Josh, what do you think?
Well, I think that there's a Lost Box variant going around right now that is probably going to win the mirror because it hates Lost Box. I don't know if you've seen it circulating, but it's the one running Vengeful Punch.
The one that
It's the one.
Shemansky posted?
Yes, I had the unfortunate time playing against it in a cup, and it is something.
Well, the big one is Lost Zone, Lost Box with Charizard EX. You know that, right? Like, that's a real thing, like a big thing. I think that might be the Charizard deck, and I don't know why, and I don't care to find out why, but like that, like whenever I have seen that deck, like they work, like they're like putting in work. And I know Omni Joe was talking about it too. He said he's super high on the deck, and he's like a really great player. So if he believes in it, it's probably got some legs. And so it sounds like nonsense. Like they just play like Colress and like Cram and Sableye and Comfey, and then just like a 2/2 Charizard EX. And for some reason, it's really good. So I don't know what that's all about, but I could see that doing really well. That might be the secret variant of Lost Box and Charizard.
Yeah. To quote top player Ian Robb, you'll never see me playing Comfy in any of my decks at a regional. Like I don't like the mechanic of Lost Zone is great. I don't like Lost Zone Box as a deck because the decisions can really come back to bite you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to make those decisions.
I think Sableye is not good for the game. I also hate Lost Box in a best of one cups. Like, oh, I got donked because Cram did 110 on their first turn. Okay.
Well, I mean that can happen this weekend too. That can happen twice.
Yeah, like
not likely, but it can happen.
I don't like Lost Zone boxes because there's just a lot going on. Like you have people running the Raikou or running the Dragonite. I think that if you are going to run the Kyogre variant, you need to have put the hours in with that deck because it's not something that you can just pick up. Like, 250.
I mean, Lost Zone versus Tina, like on the surface, like I think, for me, like it makes sense to play Tina in this current meta just because there's big things and it also speeds up the game. That we're talking about tying and like going to time and all these things and micro decisions and game one taking 45 minutes. Tina will speed that up in your favor or against you, but it will help speed that up because of the prize exchange. So I don't really have a ton else, on the differentiation between the two.
Yeah, it's Lost Box. It's been around for a while. It's gonna stay around. Like it does its thing. I mean,
yeah.
I'll tell you a funny story real quick. This weekend I played it just for the funds because I played a deck with Shaman in it. I played Lost Box with Shaman because it's Shaman. Whatever.
Because Charizard, yeah.
Yeah. I played Hisuian Heavy Ball, saw my prizes, started playing, and I forgot my prizes were. And I lost some of my only Psychic Energy in my deck because the other was prize. So, just putting that out there. Anyways, speaking of fun things, the next on the list is Miraidon Flaffy. That's a fun deck. That's a fun deck.
Is.
That is a Mahone writing deck right there. People love that.
What number is this?
It is number 6 as most played. It's 504 plays right now. I think it's also the new deck. It's not a new deck. I get that, but like Mahone did good with it.
Yeah, really well.
And then people got the Mahonies out there. They just love those. They just love. Woo!
Like I'm just laughing. It's not because like I'm making fun of anyone. It's just like I saw so many people at Cups the past couple weeks like playing Miraidon, and I'm like, I mean, we're talking Tricky Gym shirt, Tricky Gym hat, Tricky Gym mat.
The tattoo. They got Tricky Gym tattoo.
Yeah, and then they're all playing Miraidon, and it's like, oh, like you are really committed. Like I love him too. He's great. He's great for the community. Great content creator. Great player. But like, It's just funny. That's why I'm laughing. But
Yeah, same here,
I mean,
same here. Yeah, same. Okay, I'm gonna say what I say real quick, and then I'll let y'all speak because this is the first. It's the first time I broke silence about Miraidon. I think the deck is actually bad, because if you look at the friend group, there was 4 of them, right? All great players, fantastic players.
Yeah.
Only one of them made day 2. So all I'm gonna say, I'm gonna shut up. Anyways, what do y'all want to say about Miraidon Flaffy?
yeah, it's tier 2 dot deck. And people are like, well, it's good. You can do this, and you can do this, and you can hit 4 paths to the peak, which is so good. And it's like, yeah, and you also sometimes just lose because your deck's not very good. Like, you just lose to, like, Guardy or Charizard or Giratina or Lost Box or any of the decks above it because those are all better decks. So, yeah, like, I was playing Palkia for a while, that Palkia variant that was, going around for a bit. And like when I'm like 50-50 or better Miraidon with my Palkia deck, like I'm like, okay, that tells me everything I need to know. Like, yeah, it's not great. Like it's not terrible, but it's not great. Like doing 220 and Path to the Peak sounds good. It is good. But like there is always a better option. That's what I like. You can't tell me that Miraidon is the best deck for this tournament. Like it's not. Like there's better decks. And it's fine. It is tier 2. If you want to play a fun deck that's relatively easy to play and roll the dice and see how you do, go for it. But like if you want to compete and play the best deck, it's not that.
Yeah. I mean, that friend group always has those kinds of showings, right? Like half of them will do well with the deck, half won't. I don't know.
It's a different tournament too. We're talking about Worlds
Yeah.
and then versus Pittsburgh. I'm talking about right now. It is definitely not the best deck.
Yeah. It's a fun gimmick. It has that going for it. I mean, we saw the stats from Worlds Day 2 about the different matchups and like such a small sample size, but I think it was really funny to note that a Miraidon deck beat an Urshifu deck.
Oh yeah, no, it has 100% win rate if you look
Yeah,
at the numbers.
yeah, because it had
Yeah.
one match. And so I love Seijun. Seijun Park, greatest TCG, greatest story of all time,
The
right?
greatest Pokemon player, probably.
Yeah,
He's
100%. Yeah.
he's so good in the Korean circuit. But like he wasn't playing Path in his deck, and like he still won, and I'm just like, how?
I
Like,
I will say this. I think it did well at Worlds because everybody was hyping him Arceus, and I will say it probably has a good Arceus matchup. It probably has. It probably. It does. It does. You turn 2, knock out Arceus. I'll tell you this. I know for a fact it doesn't have a good Lost Box matchup. I'll tell you that much.
I'm sure it doesn't.
I don't think it is a good deck for this tournament.
Yeah.
If you are
No.
playing it, best of luck to you. I hope you do well.
There's gonna
I
be 6
won't
of them
see
in
you
top
in
8.
day 2. Yeah.
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 I will say this: if the selling point of the deck is that you want to play a Judge, Iona plus Path at a Peak deck, I think you're playing the wrong deck, and you need to play Arceus. You need to play Arceus or even Mew. I think even Mew is probably a better deck than Miraidon Flappy because it won Worlds. It has the same selling point that Miraidon Flappy does.
Yeah, and if you're scared of Charizard, just drop Path to the Peak.
Yeah, and just judge them to 4 and go.
They're gonna rare candy Charizard pass. Miraidon not good.
I guarantee the rare candy Charizard under Path to the Peak will be a thing this weekend. I guarantee it.
Oh yes.
Or people missing their Charizard trigger because it is upon evolution. Like, listen, if you evolve and you don't immediately search for those energies, I'm not letting you search. Like, you missed your window of opportunity.
But
I'm scared to see what's after Miraidon, because if we're already down to Miraidon,
I bet it's new.
My question before I hop off Miraidon, is there anything else you want to add to it? It's a fun deck. Is a gun debatable?
Here too.
Once again, we're looking at a friend group before. One of them made day 2. Mahone did great day 2. I'm not trying to say anything bad about that, but
no.
25% of the group made it in. Anyways, next up, Josh, you are a psychic, and it is Mew. On here it says Fusion Mew. I don't know if it actually breaks it down. Oh yeah, it must have, because in 16th place there's regular Mew Genesect. So Mew still going strong, 7th place. It says I don't care about Charizard. We're here chilling. It actually has a 47 win percent, so still only 20 game difference. So like, That's nothing. But are we playing? Would you sleeve up Mew at all this weekend? Or no way?
It's always in one of my top choices. I mean,
So it's always my third option or better.
yeah.
Like, at worst case scenario, it's the third deck. If my first play, I decide at the last minute is not right, and the second one is not ready, or I don't have the practice in, I'm picking up Mew. Like, that deck is not going away until it rotates. Anybody who thinks it is wrong. If Drapion, Spiritomb, whatever else they've done to it, Mightyena doesn't kill it, Charizard's not going to kill it. Is Charizard a bad matchup? Yeah, it's probably unwinnable or close to it, depending on your list. But, like, you're not going to play Charizard 15 rounds. You might play Charizard 0 rounds. So, yeah, no, Mew's a good deck. It's so consistent. It does exactly what it wants to do almost every game. I think that you have to play the Fusion variant because of cards like Spiritomb. And, yeah, I also think you need the power of Melodious Echo for 280 plus tablet right now. I can't imagine playing the 4 DTE variant right now. That's just me, in my opinion. I think that's a bad idea. But the Fusion variant I think is fine as long as you can avoid playing a bunch of Charizards. I think you're gonna do decent. Like, I think it's a good deck. It's not ever gonna go away. It's old reliable. It's like the Virizion Genesect of this format. Like, if all else fails, there's still Mew.
Yeah. Like you said, it's in my top 3 for this, upcoming tournament. I think that running the Fusion Energy is correct. I won't say that running Meloetta is correct. We've seen like the combination, like the Fusion Energy path to the peak. So I think in an ideal world, running the 4 Fusion Energy with a higher path to the peak count is probably what's going to do well. I mean, throwing Meloetta into it, I think, instead of, most lists now are running like 2 Lost City or a Lost City, a Path, and a Crystal Cavern. I think that you need Path. I think that you have
You
to
can
up
play
your...
Path and Meloetta.
Yeah. It's like a
I think you're
combination.
silly to not put one copy in if you're playing Fusion Energy. Anybody who's doing that, I would say you're a very silly person.
Yeah, we there were a couple Asian players that were dipping their toes into the water of playing the Fusion Energy to be able to put on Genesect so they can still draw under Spiritomb. But I think that running the Meloetta with the Fusion Energy but a higher path count is probably correct.
Yeah, I agree.
Like it.
You may go back to 2 or 3 Path and like 3 or 4 Vacuum, High Judge.
Yeah. I think the deck does well because the deck just has it, and it just is so consistent. Looking at Vance's list, I think Box of Disaster is an amazing card in it. Like,
yeah, it's super good.
Like, it won me my top 8 match at the cup that I won. Like, I swung with a Meloetta that had it attached to it, and he had to knock out the Meloetta, so that's a free 80 damage on a Mew VMAX. Like, I mean, but yeah.
Plus, it's so easy to hit 220 on those Chien Paos and Miraidons. You just slap a double and a tablet down, piece of candy, 220. Yeah, no, Mew's good.
I will say. Oh, you're good, Josh. You gonna say?
I mean, we saw most lists cut like the Spiritomb, cut the Drapion. Like that's the first card they always cut because they're like, oh, Mew won't, everyone else will play Drapion, so I won't have to run it in my list. But I think that people have cut those cards from their list, so Mew is going to see a rise. Like
Spiritomb's a lie. Don't play that. It's just a blank card. It doesn't do anything. Don't play Spiritomb. If you want to counter Mew, play something else. I know Spiritomb can counter other things in addition to Mew, so if that's your reason, go ahead. But if you're just trying to counter Mew, play Drapion. It's just don't play Spiritomb because they're just gonna slap some Fusion Energy down, and then you have a dumb thing sitting on your bench the whole time.
Yeah.
I will say I would probably be the opposite of y'all. I would probably play the DTE version over the Fusion Mew, just because of what you just said. There's going to be less Spiritomb and less whatever dumb stuff, and I want to play 4 Path to Peak, 4 Judge, 4 Iona, or something like that, and just all right, Pidgeot, get out of here. And I think Pidgeot's going to be so played this weekend that you would play. But I mean, I can see it go both ways. It's tomato, whatever. I think Mew's a good deck. It won Worlds. It
Our reigning, defending, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world
yeah.
is
He-
Mew VMAX.
yeah. Even took down Tord in the finals. You know, come on now. If Mew,
I mean, it was
if Mew
The
can do
final
it,
boss himself.
it was 3 of the top 8. Like
Yeah.
outside of the top 8, it had such a decent showing at Worlds. Like good deck.
Yeah, good deck. Talk about a deck that I think would be more like Vrisian Genesect than Mew. Arceus Giratina. It's at number 8 right now. We've talked a lot about Path to the Peak. Talked a lot about Judge. We talked a lot about Giratina. I mean, is Arceus Giratina is it in a good spot? Like, could it do good? Like, just like Path to the Peak, some Judges. I mean, you just
Yeah, I was gonna say Arceus Giratina is like fine, but 4 Path to the Peak is really good. So like again, it's one of those decks that like if one of them squeaks up to top 8, I'll be like, well, yeah, he hit the right matchups and he didn't dead draw, whatever. I don't think it's like a top choice or should be. I don't think it's like a top deck right now, but 4 Path to the Peak is good, and there's gonna be somebody out of 2,000 masters that gets good matchups and it can do well. But like, yeah, as far as like the concept of the deck, like I Trinity Nova, then I lost Impact, or I Trinity Nova, then I Trinity Nova, then I Trinity Nova, then I lost Impact. I lost Impact. I don't think that's efficient. There's a lot of one prizers going on. There's tons of Lost Box, tons of Guardy. To me, like that is not like efficient. You're gonna waste a lot of damage, a lot of energy. You're gonna overkill some stuff. You're gonna underkill some stuff. It just seems like a big dumb glass cannon-y type deck. But also, turn 1 path just beats some deck. So I don't know. I think you're either gonna, like I said, hit really good matchups and do well, or you're just gonna be like, man, I wish I played something else.
I am surprised it's number 8. I don't think it's a good deck. There's just so many other decks that are running Path now. Like Arceus Tina typically doesn't run an answer to counter Path, right? Like like if you play the Path before them, they're kind of just like, well, there goes what I was gonna do turn 2. Like I'm a turn ahead
Unless
of you.
they just have it in their hand, yeah.
Yeah, like
If they have to Starbirth, that can really stop them.
yeah, I don't think that Arceus Tina is the correct Arceus variant.
No.
Looking at its performance at Worlds, it was rough. Like, I think that like Arceus with like Flying Pikachu and Umbreon, I think those are better than Arctina. Like it, yeah. Like I've
There's
seen
better
some
Arceus
people.
decks. There's better Giratina decks.
Exactly. I've seen
So,
some people like running Superior in their Arceus decks, like Superior V Star, but like I don't know. It just is like Jay said, inefficient. Like I'm swinging for 280. Okay, cool.
Thanks for killing my Comfey on turn 2.
Yeah, like
I will say this much to about the World's experience at the World Championship. It doesn't say what Arceus variant. Arceus was 12% in the meta. Actually, it was none. It actually didn't make it in the top 4 at all. It was 12% day 1. Day 2 it didn't hit any percent. But it
There's 0 Arceus decks in day 2.
No, there was some Arceus decks in day 2.
Yeah,
There was some. Just not enough to even make, I guess, get a percentage or Pokestats to have on there. But if you're curious, 69th was the highest Arceus Tina deck, and I'm pretty sure it was like one of the most hyped decks going into.
So, looking
hype
at the
doesn't mean good. I don't like. I believe you that it was hyped, but like, I can't tell you why some things are hyped. I don't know.
Looking at the day 2 matchup percentages that Mike Fouché posted, there were two matches that Arceus Tina had a 50% win rate or better, and that was against other Arceus Tinas and Arceus decks that had no Tina. Everything else is below 50%, like 33, 12, 26, 10. Like it had bad matchup spreads. I don't think it's a good deck. Anyone that likes the deck,
it's a deck that you lose to like round 1 or 2, and you're like, I lost a freaking Arctina. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like I have 0 games tested against it because I'm not gonna see it, and it's not good, and then I lost to it like because I dead drew. Like it's like just annoying. Like I said, there's better Arc decks, there's better Tina decks.
Yeah, I know there are a lot of European players that like the deck, and I'm just like, why? But like, do you like?
I will say the only selling point to RC's guillotine at all is as long as you hit an energy turn 1, it's pretty consistent. Not
Yeah,
saying
for
it's
sure.
good. Not saying it's good. But as long as you get
I
that
mean,
energy turn 1, phew,
I see the appeal of like Trinity Nova into Lost Box, right? Like you have this 280 body swinging one shot in everything in your deck with a 280 body on the bench that's one shot in anything that ever existed. And then, so it's kind of hard because, like, if you get that set up turn 2, which it does pretty consistently, they're going to hit you for 110, and then you take another prize, and then they're going to hit you for 110 or like 90-90, and then you're going to take another prize. Like, I get the appeal of the big body, but, like, yeah, I don't know. It's just not great, in my opinion.
All right. Speaking of not great
There's
decks,
better options.
so yeah, not great decks. Number 9 is Single Strike Lugia. It's got 283 plays with 51% win. Anything I want to say about that deck or no?
It's a casino. If you are severely lucky or you're feeling lucky, then play the slots, like, but if you're a normal human being or less than lucky, then don't play that deck. It's a lot of coin flips, a lot of things have to go your way, and people, oh, my list is consistent, my list is better. Oh, it's not that many coin flips. You can do this, you can't, like, there's a lot of luck involved to do well. And that's okay. Like it is a on paper, like what the functionality, obviously Archeops is insane. But like I am not a lucky player or a human being. And so like I cannot tell you the amount of times I've lost the entire game because of a capturing aroma or a Messagosa or I couldn't find an Ultra Ball or just so much nonsense like that, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. Like the deck is appealing until you play it. Like that's been my experience. Now I know your experience is like 150 points, but like other than that, yeah, I'm super bitter towards the deck.
Uh,
I
Very good, Josh. I was gonna say as somebody who went who did great at I was gonna say as somebody who did great at NAIC with it, Josh. How do you feel about the deck?
well, I went 1-3-1 with it at NAIC, and that's it was teased in your last
At
video
least
you
you
made,
got to
but it's okay.
play.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so I think because there's so many other decks right now that people are more interested in playing, Lugia has lost a lot of its shine. I am super against Lugia because I played for it for how long? Like, I hated Lugia mirror matches. I hated Lugia NAIC. Like, it just it is a
You ever
deck that
hear
if
you ever hear
you
Yu-Gi-Oh players talk about dragon format? They go, "Oh, dragon format, blah blah blah." That's like gonna be us in 10 years. Oh, Lugia format. You remember Lugia format? Like,
yeah, like
yeah,
it was such a toxic relationship with that deck. But if if you flip what you need to on your capturing aromas when you need it, like it can do the thing. Um, I don't know if the single strike version is the play though. There have been some lists circulating that have swapped off of that. I've seen some people playing Meloetta in it. Um,
I usually
because
add that in addition to the single strike.
yeah, like there are just so many things that can happen. I don't think that we're seeing a lot of Duraludon right now, so people aren't really running the Urshifu. But Lugia just does Lugia things. Um, Now, if you are running Amistar because you're scared of Path and you're saying, I'm going to get 4 Arcan out and then evolve them all, you're not playing the right game.
Yeah, you are out of control.
But
The
yeah, like
deck is good if you draw well.
yeah, like it has options to do things. I think
Yeah.
that maybe a colorless variant with like Weirdeer and Snorlax and Path and Slowking might be the play.
I mean,
There you
I
go.
don't know if I'm just like small brained or what, but I think single strike is the way to go. Like, I can't imagine playing that deck without Tyranitar. I think that's the appeal. But
Yeah, I just don't like Lugia. Like it, cool
So
card.
we
Uh,
so we got a
yeah.
50-50, a heck no, and I think it's the best deck of format. So we're full great talk here.
Yeah.
I'm
you
not going.
must flip well.
I'm not going to talk about. I'm not going to talk about Lugia. If you want to see other videos, just watch all my videos about Lugia. In 10th place, so we got, like I said, we've covered 9 different decks, which I think are all like pretty well known that you definitely have a good chance of running into. But 10th place is actually Inteleon Urshifu. Is that something would be on your radar to test? Yes or no?
It,
Absolutely, yes.
it is my number 2 deck.
Severely on the radar.
Yeah. So I got top 8 with it at a cup. I lost to Lugia, which it's a tough match. But it just farms Lost Box. It farms it farms Gardevoir. Like the only bad matchup realistically that it has is Mew. And depending on the amount of Mew we see, it could take the event. I mean, Cyrus had it right at NAIC. Like they
Yeah,
won
there's
the
not
whole event
much
because
that
of
I
it.
would change from their list. Like
Yeah.
it's really solid.
Yeah.
There's a couple matchups that are scaring me from committing to the deck. I love it. It's a lot of fun and it is really good. But there's a few matches that I'm not comfortable. Mew obviously is really rough. Like almost I don't want to say unwinnable, but it's like a really bad match, and so I don't want to deal with that. I also am not super comfortable into Chien-Pao because well, they just Shivery Chill Superior, Shivery Chill Superior. It's literally that easy though. Like they have to do it twice, and you lose the game. Like you lose. Like if Rapid Strike, Inteleon, and Urshifu VMAX were 2 prizers, then I would feel a lot better about the Urshifu match or the Chien-Pao matchup. But the fact that they take 2 knockouts and it's GG's, I'm not comfortable with that match at all either. And that one is like, I feel like if I played against like 4 Chien-Pao day one, I'd be like, oh, that makes sense. Like it's everywhere. So yeah, those 2 matches are kind of deterring me from playing the deck. I mean, Lugia is not super fun either, but I think there's less of that being played right now. But other than the Chien-Pao and Mew matchup, I really, really like the deck a lot, and I wish it wasn't being gate kept by things that can just hit 360 every turn.
Yeah, it's such a cool concept for a deck. You know, being able to take 2 turns in a row is pretty nice.
Yeah.
Like yoga looping and yeah, it really fun deck. It takes a lot of brain power. You
Yeah, it's a
know,
lot of math.
Mhm.
It's so hard to not waste damage. That's the thing. You can play the deck at like a 7 out of 10 pretty easily, but to play that thing at like a 9 or a 10, like you really have to like know your math. Like to
yeah,
not waste damage, because that's the last thing you want to do with a spread deck like that is be like, "Oh, well 3 turns ago if I didn't move that 20, then I could get 3 prizes." It's like you can't make mistakes like that with
Yeah.
the deck. So you really have to know as soon as they flip over their basic what your prize map is, what's your win condition, what do you have to do? Like cuz if you're just winging it, you're going to make mistakes.
yeah. I'm bad at
But yeah,
math, and
definitely on the radar to test. Like I think if you're not testing against it, you're goofing.
yeah, I'm surprised it's 10th actually. I am shocked that it's that low on the list. It's in my top 3 for sure.
So quick funny story about the deck. So at NAIC, I did not get into registration, and I had stopped playing a couple of regionals before that. So I was kind of out of the loop. I had not played the game for like 3 or 4 months ish, because I couldn't get into NAIC, wasn't gonna get my invite. You know, I was just kind of like done for the season. But I tried to get into NAIC, and when I didn't, I went anyway and hung out with friends, supported the homies, etc. And so I was playing in side events, and this guy flipped over the Urshifu, and I'm like, oh, you're Urshifu guy. Like, okay, like you're just like the guy who this is all you play is Urshifu. And then he flipped over the Inteleon. I'm like, oh, you're just Rapid Strike guy. Okay, like this is just some weird deck. He took 5 prizes on me in 2 turns, and I lost. And then he benched me out. And then I was talking to him, and I was like, dude, this deck seems super good. Like, why is nobody talking about this? Like, why is this deck not more hyped? And he's like, I don't know. I was gonna play it, but I couldn't get in the event. Like I think it's really good. And I was like, yeah, it seems really good. See you later. And then the next day, it won the national championship and the largest tournament in North America. So yeah, though, I really like it. I think the deck's underrated.
Yeah, the thing that's putting me off of it is the two bad matchups he's mentioned. Also, I don't think it has a really great matchup against Lugia. Um, if they're running the Urshifu, they just need 2 of the single strike energy, and they take 3 prizes, and you're like, cool, good game. Um, I also have like PTSD because I lost to a Lugia in top 8. Because the thing with the deck is it has bad draws sometimes. Like it can just be really clunky. Like
Yeah,
game
it doesn't
2.
need a lot to function. Like turn 1, you just need like a VIP pass, or you need like to evolve on turn 2 into the Octillery and an Inteleon VMAX or whatever. So it doesn't need a lot to get going. But like if you miss that, then like you lose.
It's such an uphill battle. Like I started Lone Lumini on one of the in game 2 of top 8. I'm just like, well, I will attach and pass, and that is all I have. So,
Yeah.
what you got for me?
I
Like,
got a
yeah,
handshake for you.
I was like, okay,
Please
cool.
tell me you're into this deck, Squeaky.
No.
No,
No.
it's so good and it's so fun.
I think.
It
Well,
is
okay.
a lot of fun.
I'm gonna go off what you said first of all. Let's rewind it a little bit. What you said. You said the deck is hard to play. That's what you said.
Yes.
It's hard with math. It's hard of like let me place my little damage counters here. Squeaky likes playing decks that go, I'm gonna blow you up.
G booster.
I'm gonna blow you up. It's not even that.
Yeah.
It's like every deck, like Mecha Rayquaza and stuff like that. Zork, stuff like just
Tyranitar.
yeah, just decks
Single
that
Strike
say.
Crush.
And if it's not one of those decks, it's a deck that say, I'm not gonna let you play games because I got item lock.
Excel Gore.
Yeah, so those are my 2 decks I've always played, and that deck does not check either one of those boxes.
Okay.
Gotcha. I'm not saying it's a bad deck. I'm not saying that at all. It's just I'm too stupid to go, let me ping for 50 here, and that 50 wins me the game 8 turns later.
Would you be surprised if there was like 2 in top 8? Like, would you be surprised if it did really well?
So I think with the hype it has right now, I would say no, just because, like you said, it's going to farm so many Giratina players that have no idea, because like you said, I'm surprised it's 10th place. I'm surprised it's 10th place. Where Lost Box is going to be the number 1, it's going to be the number 1 deck. I think Guardian's War is going to be the number 2 deck. And, yeah,
that's
good luck.
why it's like my second option right now, because I'm like,
yeah,
can I just avoid enough Mew and Chin Pao to like farm the rest of the field?
And then you farm. I'm pretty sure Miraidon's a free matchup.
Oh, absolutely.
Unless your name is Sejun Park and you just win.
Yeah, then it's 100% win rate. But all silliness aside, yes, it's like an auto win. So at worst case scenario, you start Inteleon, they get 2 free prizes, and then you have Nestballed for 2 Urshifu, and the game is over.
And then if you look at the other decks, Arceus Giratina, probably an auto win. So
yeah, all Arceus, you farm Arceus as well.
So out of the 9 matches that we talked about, only 2 of them are bad. And I imagine you smack Charizard. You smack Charizard too, probably.
I mean, you
it's similar to like it's similar to like Guardy, where like you gotta get going quick, but if you do, you win.
Yeah.
Just don't let them evolve.
So again, I'm not surprised if it does well. I'm not gonna be surprised if 2 are in cut.
Yeah.
It's just how many people are gonna play it. That's the real question, to actually have the 2. Because once again, it's all a numbers game. If there's 800 people playing Lost Box, like the day 2 into top 8 is going to be really great. And then, like you said before, it depends what friends groups are playing stuff.
And the quality of players that's going to be playing the deck is super high. I can already tell you that, because that's our meta. Like, we live in the Midwest. We go to cups in Indiana, Michigan, Ohio. Think about who lives in Indiana, Michigan, Ohio. They're playing Rapid Strike Box. So, like, watch out for that.
It's not a fun mirror, and that's one of the other things that turns me off of it. Is like my small brain can't do math. I need a calculator. Like,
yeah, so that's why I'm not playing. It seems fun. It seems cool. Yoga Lupin seems like a lot of fun. I did a Mount Mias Karate deck. Don't get me wrong. It seems like a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm too stupid to like late game figure out how to do like Yuga loops.
When you get into +3 turns and you're able to take like 4 all of the +3 turns because of
That's a
silly
whole other
shenanigans,
thing.
like
Yeah,
just
we
yeah,
saw somebody Dialga Yoga Loop Dialga, or no, it was Yoga Loop Dialga Yoga Loop in turn 3 of times. It was Jared Watala. Shout out to Jared. He took 5 extra turns.
yeah, he took all of the turns. I didn't get a single one of them. Like not one.
I did. I was at a cup, and that was a question that was asked because somebody did yoga loop him, and he's like, "Is that eat a turn up?" And their judge was like, "Yeah, that's another turn now." So yeah, it did eat a turn up. He's like, "Oh, look at one turn now." He's like, "Yeah." This part was like, "Yeah, now you lose." That's what he told him.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, it was at the end of the game. He Yoga Looped, so then he got turn 1 of time, and then he Star Chronosed, take another turn. So then he got turn 2 of time, and then he Yoga Looped and got turn 3 of time, and then he won. Like, absolute insanity. Took 6 prizes after the game was over.
Oh, I love it. Love it.
Uh-huh.
So
That's the play this weekend.
Dalga, sure,
Maridon, or Dialga, what's his name? Metachamp.
sure, go
Yeah.
for it. Go crazy. Go crazy. Go look at that one. All right. So we talked about 10 different decks. I mean, I think there's a possibility you could see all 10 of these decks. I guess not all 10 because you'll play 9 rounds, but you know.
Man, I'm playing 15 rounds, 16 rounds.
I'm trying to play 18.
Well, I just want top 8.
I just want to win, so I don't have to play Pokemon until like July.
I know. Can you imagine? I've been saying, I'm like, what would you do with yourself? Like, that's I can't wait. Like,
You would see
That
for
is-
people to win regionals.
you would see
to,
Team
like,
Fish
see,
Knuckles.
like-
I would just disappear. You wouldn't see me again until June. I
Like,
come back.
that's the
Here.
I come back.
that
My
is the
hair is
biggest
different. I got face tattoos or something. Like I'm totally different now all of a sudden.
Oof,
like that's
face
the thing with
tattoos.
that's the thing like right now. Right? He's showing up to up from good. He deserves it. But he already has his
Yeah.
invite, so he doesn't care.
Yeah, you gotta
Like,
watch out for them folks. They'll get you.
I mean, I have him like count 5 up to get the person top. Like Tord already has his invite, right? He got second. He's coming to Pittsburgh to make some money.
He's just flying all the way across the world. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing, right? We're gonna see a lot of international players at these events because there's so much money on the line now. Like 10,000 USD
sure.
may not seem a lot to some of us Americans, but for some of these folks, that is some life-changing money. I mean,
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
$1,000 life changing to me.
I mean, some Pokemon players have made statements. They're like wild when it comes to money, but yeah, $10,000 is a lot. Even $1,000 for top 32 can be a lot. Like,
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I'm excited for top 32 money.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
I'm excited if you give me $100 to play Pokemon. I used to do this for free.
You're
I know, I've
telling
been
me
doing
that
it
I
for
have
free for so long.
You're telling me that I have to pay 107 Canadian dollars to enter a tournament?
That's a different
I
story.
got
Let's
my
not talk
first top 16 at a regional last year, and I was like, wait a minute, like this is way better when you get paid to do it. And I was like, I should do this more often.
I mean, I got 17th in 2017, and I got a booster box.
Rest in peace.
I mean, when I made
Yep.
top 4, I got 3 booster boxes.
Yeah, like oh, we're old, and I feel washed up.
Anyways, before we leave, any other decks you want to talk about that we missed, or anything else you just want to discuss? I mean, I feel like we just covered. It's been like an hour and 15-minute video. I'm gonna be honest with y'all.
I saw 2 tweets.
That's gotta be everything, right?
I saw another tweet that you got. Someone tweeted you out there, and they said thoughts on Iono and Chien Pao. I think 1 copy is fine. Like it.
Yeah, one copy is fine. I agree. God forbid I don't want to play against any United Wings. Please don't play that.
Yeah, other decks that
Keep
did
it at home.
other decks that are on here. 12th is RCS, which is just other artists we talked about a little bit. There's Palkia, which we talked about a little bit. Lost Box Charizard actually is on the category, but it's 14th. And then there's Lugia Archeops, is the colors build. Arceus Goodra is on here. Snorlax Stall has 50 plays for some reason. There's a Zoroark box.
Snorlax is awful. There's so many decks with so many switching cards. Don't do it.
Meowscarada is at 38. There's just Tyranitar with 31 plays for some reason.
Wait, is it the lightning one?
I don't know. Hold on, let me see.
Holy crap.
I think Tyranitar is a deck when 151 comes out. That Dodrio.
Okay,
Leak
there's
the
a
sauce.
there's a list that went 6 and 2. It is the EX version. It beat the Mirror, beat Arceus Goodra, beat Charizard, beat Giratina and Lost Box, beat Palkia, lost to Gardevoir, lost Single Shock with Lugia, sorry. It beat Miraidon Flaffy. It beat Electric. Tyranitar EX beat Miraidon. Just gonna throw that out there for all you Miraidon fans if you're still here watching. So
yeah, there's so many decks that pop up with 151 that I think 151 is gonna really shake up Peoria.
anyways, what about Pittsburgh, Josh? Any other decks you want to talk about besides Peoria for the 18th time? Okay.
No, I'm excited to go back to that mining town.
There you go.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's all of them. We've talked about every deck in the whole game.
Yep.
If
Ever
you're in
made.
Pittsburgh, go see Happy Lee Miller's studio.
Sure. Sounds good. Well, you come up to me, say hi, you can see hello to these good fellows. I don't know if you want to give them shout outs or whatever you can. If you want to, I don't care.
Yeah, just follow me on Twitter at TFK Pokemon.
I think that's right. I don't know if that's the right handle, for being honest. Is that what it
I'm
is?
pretty sure it is.
I'll have to find out.
It is TFK Pokemon, yeah.
Oh, look at there.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. All right. So.
They make some really cool content.
You can follow me at Josh _O _so _fine. You can find me there. So.
And then where can we find you, Josh?
Darth Mr. J. Mista. MAMISTAH. Mista.
Absolutely.
So.
We'll be eating pizza that I'll pay for.
All right, I'm gonna eat some pizza too with you.
All right,
So,
let's do it.
Papa Ghost the Fourth just walked in, so I have to go. So, everybody, see y'all. See you in Pittsburgh. Bye.